Injured? Gym bro stole your squat rack? We're gonna give you the best exercise alternatives to work around any strength issues, and we're gonna start right now. Going to a crowded gym has a host of problems, particularly if you're under a time crunch. Look at that guy curling in the squat rack.
Gotta get the gains, bro.
Look at the guy curling at the bench.
Live for the pump, die for the pump.
Is this dude dancing on the platform?
Yo, this is how you do it, right?
Not only can a crowded gym be a problem, but capability can also be an issue. You might have an injury, maybe you lack mobility, or you just don't have the strength requisites needed for specific exercises. The good news is that even when we're talking about specific strength exercises, there's always alternatives that we can provide. And so let's look at those 5 classic strength movements that you typically would do and what those alternatives are gonna be. Look at my right elbow. Because of Lyme disease and severe arthritis, I can't lock out. So every time I bench press, it looks like I'm doing a bro rep. And this has caused some other limitations. I struggle to actually hit a front rack position. So when I'm front squatting, I have to alter my grip. I can't clean anymore, but I've worked through different variations and different alternatives that can actually lead to those fruitful strength gains so that my program is all encompassing. And coming up with key exercise alternatives is paramount to developing athletes who've won the Commonwealth Games, who've won medals at the World Championships, who've been to the NFL, who've become NCAA All-Americans. And just like all those champions, you have a chance to win and bring home some free hardware when you comment on today's video and you have all of your notifications on and you subscribe fully to the channel. If you comment down below, we're gonna select a winner and announce at this week's YouTube Live on Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, who's gonna win this free t-shirt. Now, let's talk about alternatives to the greatest strength exercise ever, the back squat. That dude is still curling in the squat rack.
My girlfriend may have left me, but my gains are here to stay. Woo!
Well, I guess we have to find alternatives. So when we're talking about the back squat, we know we're gonna stimulate a large amount of global innervation. We're doing a compound movement. It's gonna help our knee extensors. It's gonna help our knee flexors. So we want to find movements that emulate the squat, and we need to put a decent load on our body so that that stimulates some type of muscular adaptation. So a great variation would just be hitting that goblet squat. And you can do a couple sets of 5 to 7 reps just with 50 pounds, but make sure you're driving through that full range of motion. And what's interesting with the goblet squat is that a lot of athletes struggle or at least don't like to push the weight on the goblet squat. And I recommend even having those goals. If I have this 110-pound dumbbell, I can still lead to some type of leg strengthening. I can lead to that trunk control position. It's gonna emulate a front squat or a back squat, and it will carry over if you got that gym bro who stole your squat rack. Woo! Now, some people might complain that you still can't overload the goblet squat. It's not as easy to get a massive amount of tension on the bar or on the dumbbell. So another thing that you can do is actually put bands around your knees. So what we're doing right now would be known as a Spanish squat. I'm gonna demonstrate shortly. But even as I'm just standing here fully locked out, I'm using my HAF band. This is the Powerlastic HAF band, available at GarageStrength.com. My quads are already freaking pumped just holding this position. So if I get into that goblet position here and then I get down, okay, and as I get to the top, I want to squeeze and lock out nice and tight. That extra tension is gonna blow up my quads, probably even more so than I would actually feel in a typical back squat. So if the gym bro stole your squat rack, you can use the goblet squat or you can use the Spanish squat. So if we're not satisfied with the Spanish squat or the goblet squat, we want a little bit more of a load on the bar. One of the things you can do if you're in a weightlifting gym, okay, or if you have access, even Crunch Fitness has platforms. If you have access to platforms and you have the mobility, if the bro is inside of the squat rack, you can do a power clean and then do front squats if you have access to that platform. Now, if you don't, the next big aspect that I recommend if you're still unhappy and you want more weight on the bar is to do a trap bar deadlift. And so what we can do is use this to replace that back squat. We can load the heck out of this trap bar and still get a phenomenal stimulus from a strength perspective. Again, 5 sets of 5, put on 400, 500, 600 pounds. You can use the trap bar deadlifts to replace that really, really heavy load. Or you can just pick away and do power clean into a front squat. Or you can do that Spanish squat, or you can do that goblet squat. All of these variations will suffice to train those legs. Does this guy ever go home?
Since my ex left me, the gym is my home now.
I guess I'm gonna have to find an alternative exercise. Again. So we know the bench press can lead to great development in our pecs, our shoulders, our triceps. It's absolutely phenomenal for developing upper body hypertrophy. So just like those leg exercises, we need to find movement patterns that will emulate the bench press. We need to find the joint angles, even the wrist angles that's gonna lead to a supporting role in helping to develop your bench press if the dude is doing curls on your bench, or even if you're banged up. One of the absolute coolest parts around our app, Peak Strength, is that we actually have exercise alternatives or exercise replacements that you can use inside of the app. But let's get to that alternative exercise first. A really unique way to push that barbell bench press is to make sure the dumbbell bench is open. And the one really cool thing that you can do is use a little bit of a warm-up band, okay? So we're gonna attach that warm-up band around our wrists. We're gonna grab dumbbells here, okay? We're gonna come back, and we're gonna focus on that co-contraction in our shoulders. We wanna really hold this neutral. So what's unique here is that we're training our upper back to fire a little bit more and provide that stability while lighting up our tricep. The one downfall is you won't be able to go as heavy as you would on the barbell bench press. Another great replacement of the bench press is hitting dips.
We don't do that here.
Nobody hits dips at the Globo gyms. Dips are one of those exercises that we use pretty frequently inside of our app, Peak Strength, to help you blow up your bench press. Now, when we're looking at dips, what do we see? And one of those cons is gonna be, we're not gonna stimulate that pec growth as much as we would compared to the bench press. However, we are going to blow up our triceps. And if you struggle and you have those little mosquito bite triceps, or you struggle with the lockout, this is where dipping, no, not hitting a Copenhagen, but actually just doing the movement dip will pay off tremendously. And one thing I even like to do is to use a band. So if I'm using a band around my shoulders, I can get down, I come up, and when I get up, I'm actually gonna stimulate a little bit of that pec minor. That's where we will get a little bit more pec growth. So one of the most important factors around dips is to push the load if you have access to a weight belt. If you don't, use that band. If you don't have that, just hit 5 sets of 15 to 20 reps, and that's gonna help improve that bench press. I know you guys need that periodized program, and you love to have an app that would have those exercise replacements. So head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, and you can download Peak Strength today for 7 free days. And if you don't like the app, you can cancel at any time during those 7 free days. The worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna get 5 free workouts. But at some point, you guys have to start that journey to attain peak strength. Is this dude still dancing on the platform?
I just want to feel like I'm doing something right with my life.
I guess trying to do snatch and clean and jerk movements are out of the question. So some of the big benefits behind technical coordination movements like the snatch, like the clean and jerk, like all of their variations, is that it forces us to be a little bit more athletic. It helps us move heavy weight fast. It helps us improve our global innervation. It helps us improve our mobility. And I even like to think about it as a cognitive test. We have to think through technique And technique plays a really important role behind getting stronger. And so if we're in a gym that doesn't have bumper plates or we have a poor front rack like myself, we've got to find good alternatives that can still help us be explosive, be more athletic, and move those heavy weights fast. Now, one of my favorite alternatives to technical coordination movements, and this is usually what will happen if we have an athlete who maybe has a little bit of a shoulder impingement, they don't have access to bumper plates, they can't catch that clean. That movement that I love to use is a trap bar jump, and there's actually a lot of research behind this exercise is that it can really help with you being more explosive. Now, some of the pros behind this movement is that we can change the load over time. Also, in most gyms, this apparatus is going to be available. People are typically going to be curling in the squat rack or over on the leg press or hammering their quads on the leg extension. Now, some of the cons behind the trap bar jump is it's not going to train that dynamic trunk control as well as a snatch or a clean. Another major con is that there's not a big squatting component like there is when you catch that clean deep into that front squat position, but it's still a great replacement for other technical coordination movements. Now, another great alternative to these technical coordination movements is going to be a dumbbell snatch. And I really like doing dumbbell snatches, especially if we have athletes traveling, we don't have access to bumper plates, or if we're just learning how to be more explosive. We have never done a snatch. This is an easy first step. So we can grab here. Okay, we've got a little bit of that squat position, and it will help improve our dynamic trunk control. We're also gonna be moving pretty freaking quickly. Okay, so we wanna go pull, drop, okay? Pull, drop, pull, drop, and you wanna focus on both sides. If I get on this side, up, two, one more. And one big aspect is that if you have the mobility, oh my God, oh, that was so hard. If you have the mobility, you can actually catch that a little bit deeper in the hole. I would recommend warming up, which I did not do. And I feel like I almost blew out my shoulder, but I feel fine right now. You can hit those dumbbell snatches. You can do 5 triples on each side. That's gonna help you be more explosive. However, the loading is not that drastic, okay? We don't have a barbell, so we're not gonna be able to go as heavy as we otherwise would with a typical snatch or power snatch. Now, another way that you can improve your technical coordination without actually using the platform, because that dude's still over there dancing on it, is that you can use our technique stick with our Powerlastic. And this is gonna help you work through technical coordination. It's gonna help you work through the actual technique that you need to execute these really hard movements. So if I wanna focus on my snatch, I can think about bring those knees back, okay? I can load the quads right here, make contact here, and try and really focus on that big high pull into that turnover. Ooh, and that's even a great mobility movement right here. I should have done this before I did those dumbbell snatches, is even just doing some overhead squats to improve your mobility and improve your thoracic extension. This is gonna lead to that overall better understanding of technique. And that's in all caps. Wow, no one's using the pull-up bar. What the heck is this note?
Dearest gym goer, I have decided to move on and better my life in ways beyond the gym. I am sorry for any inconvenience I've caused you in your training. Continue to chase the pump and be better than I. Yours truly, Gym Bro.
So one of those things about pull-ups is that they're absolutely phenomenal for building your back strength and back size. But can you even do a pull-up? Now, sometimes my elbow does hurt. Arthritis can be a big pain in my ass, but there's certain things that we can do. And one thing that you can do is if you struggle with pull-ups, the first step could be just doing a band-assisted pull-up. So now we can put our knee through here, get up on that pull-up bar, get set, pull up, and go down nice and controlled. And on the eccentrics, where we're gonna gain a lot of that strength. Back down, try and dead hang here, come back up. Eccentric, nice and controlled. Come back up. Ooh. And so you can use banded pull-ups as a way of replacing pull-ups if you don't have that strength and you want to build into doing them a little bit more effectively. Another great alternative, remember we want to train the lats, the biceps a little bit, upper back. Another great alternative is going to be that reclining row. So we can get set here, and we have our plank position, our reverse plank position, and we want to pull that sternum right to the bar. So we're here, boom, okay, and try and squeeze at the top. And try and control that eccentric. This is another phenomenal back exercise that shouldn't always replace pull-ups. But if you're a little banged up or someone does have that pull-up bar, you can get a whole bunch of reps done, and you can even get a crazy pump if you do 3 sets of 30 at the end of your workout. Another top-notch replacement, and typically this is gonna be if you're injured. If you're injured, you can use a machine. It's not gonna be as challenging to coordinate when you're on that machine. So typically, like if my elbow's banged up, maybe you've got some lat issues, maybe something's going on with your shoulder, you can replace pull-ups with a lat pull-down. Now, in a gym, it might be a little bit harder to get on this machine, but focus on pulling to the top of your sternum, come back up, and back up. I like doing drop sets on this, just crazy drop sets, long time under tension, trying to hit 25 to 30 reps for an absolute insane pump. Now let's say you're strong enough to hit pull-ups, but you've just got a little bit of a wonky feeling. Or someone's on the squat rack and that's where the pull-up bar is, but you notice there's a dip machine that has those neutral handles. That's pretty consistent in those commercial gyms, and that's where you can do neutral grip pull-ups. And this is probably my favorite all-time pull-up variation because it's so easy on your shoulders and your elbows. It's also gonna target a little bit more of your biceps, and it's absolutely phenomenal for increasing your lat strength. So you can get set here, come up, nice and controlled back down. Boom. One more. So use that neutral grip pull-up to either replace a standard pull-up if you're a little injured, or if somebody's got that squat rack that has the pull-up bar on it. Now, go back to the beginning. If we aren't strong enough, use the band-assisted pull-ups, the reclining rows. If it's really busy, get on that lat pull-down, hit up that neutral grip pull-up, and these are great variations to the standard pull-up. Now that he's gone, it's time to curl. Where are all the dumbbells? Who took all the dumbbells? No! Everybody loves the curl. Everybody loves getting those swole biceps. But if we're in a Globo gym, oftentimes all of the dumbbells might be gone. And so we've got to come up with something unique. And I love traveling with our sweet strength band, our Powerlastic band here, available at garagestrength.com, because we can do different types of curls. We can stimulate growth just through this traditional curl like this. We can even go a little bit cross curl. Now we're gonna get a little bit more of that brachialis and more of that brachioradialis, okay? So we can do different things. We can even go fast, like Joel Seaman back during COVID. So make sure you bring your bands with you to the gym just in case all of those dumbbell racks are gone. Now, another really unique aspect where you can actually train your grip and even a little bit of your pecs is using a plate curl. Typically, there's gonna be a lot of 45-pound plates in the Globo gym, and if you don't have access to those dumbbells, you can use your knees here as like that preacher bench, okay? And we can come up and squeeze at the top. And as you progress through your sets, you can actually add weight. I could go from this 55-pound plate and go grab 2 35-pound plates, and that's gonna get me to 70 pounds. But it's a unique way to hit a ton of reps and still get that monster bicep pump. So there's more to curling than just hitting the dumbbells. We wanna make sure that we're using bands, we wanna make sure that we're using plates, and we just need to think ahead when we're getting into the gym, or even if we're traveling. Having to change exercises at the gym can be a huge pain in the butt, but fortunately we've provided some really good alternatives, and we've even got a better option. One of the main things that we focused on inside of our app Peak Strength is the exercise replacement. If you head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, you can download Peak Strength today for 7 free days of training that's gonna provide 5 free workouts. And inside of those 5 free workouts, you can actually play around with that exercise replacement if you're in a gym and you don't have access to specific equipment. The worst thing that's gonna happen during those 7 days is you're gonna get 5 free workouts, because at some point, you freaks have to start your journey to attaining peak strength. Because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.